My name is Josh Harris, representing Team 3. We designed 4 instruments, xylophone, flute, violin, washtub bass, and our goals is to create high quality instruments within the $15 budget, achieve the scheduled dates so we can make our instruments on time, and make sure they all fit in a 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot case. My instrument that I designed was the xylophone. Here's my drawing with all my units in inches. So I have top view, front view, side view. I built a prototype of xylophone made out of an egg carton with a rubber band for a little bit of sport. And then I have 5 wrenches, starting with a 9/16, 1/2, 7/16, a 3/8, and a 5/16. And I also have a solid metal mallet, which will be 2 of these to play the xylophone on. So I can create low all the way to mid, and then I can get a really high pitch with my last one there. The xylophone cost for it, the 5 wrenches, you're looking at $10. And then I have the egg carton, which is pretty cheap, 2 mallets, and the rubber band. All total cost about $12.54. Next up will be David, and he's gonna present the flute. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Now I'm going to be talking about the flute to be made using PVC piping, a drill, and wrap it up with duct tape for decoration. It will be able to play multiple tones and be under $15 in budget. For the calculations, I ended up with a fundamental frequency of about 130 Hertz. And now on to Rich with the violin.
Hello, my name is Rich Miller, and I will be starting on slide 14 discussing the string instrument. For the string instrument we chose to build the violin. Some of the features of the violin will be that the strings are made out of fishing line. The body is a paper mache box. The bow will be cardstock. We're going to purchase the bridge. High hook screws will be used to hold the fishing line to increase tension, and then birch plywood will be used for the neck. The violin will meet all the requirements of the project. Several tones will be able to be played. It's small enough to fit inside the box. The cost is below the $15, and it's easy enough to build, so the project will be completed on time. Slide 15 has the materials and the budget list. Several of these items can be found around my house: fishing line, the eye hook screws, the cardstock, and the wood glue. All these items are relatively cheap. The bridge we'll be purchasing from Amazon.com, and then the birch plywood and the paper mache box will be purchased from Michaels. The total cost of the project estimated is $14.50. Slide 16 shows a side view of the violin, and slide 17 will show a top view of the violin. The only thing that may change on these views is the placement of where the strings terminate. And this can be explained on slide 18, where we have the violin calculations. It shows the formula to determine the fundamental frequency. M divided by L is the linear mass density, and the linear mass density is not known for the fishing line. So I put a method to determine the construction of the violin. I'll use a chromatic tuner to find 440 Hertz. This is note A. And if I can use the chromatic tuner, I can determine the linear mass density if I know the frequency and the string length. So then once I know the linear mass density, I can do the theoretical calculations with using like 70 newtons of tension. When I come up with this value, I will place the strings at those lengths, and then we're able to fine-tune the instrument by changing the tension. So this is how the violin will be constructed. So the bottom shows an example calculation of 440 hertz if our linear mass density is 0.050, and we have 70 newtons of tension. This would give us a string length of 1.67 inches. So next, Christine will be discussing her washtub base and then providing the conclusion to this presentation.
Hi, my name is Christine, and I'll be walking you through instrument 4, the washtub basin, as well as walk you through our decision matrix, how we came up with the 4 instruments we decided to analyze, and then wrap it up with a nice conclusion. As I mentioned, I chose the washtub basin. It's constructed out of a basic number 3 washtub and a hole handle, a 60-inch hole handle, and a tension string and an eye hook. It's a very simple construction. The hole handle is long in order to get that lower sound. It's 60 inches, but to fit in the 2x2 box, it is cut into 3 segments and then held together with dowel screws. So when the band gets to their location, then you just screw all the pieces together and they're ready to play. It was a little more of an expensive instrument due to its size and materials. So we came in right at the 15-minute mark, but it is a string instrument and it hits those lower tones that was needed in our band group. Through my research on washtub basses, I found that they play notes around the 30 hertz range. And the tension of the string is usually varied between 80 to 100 newtons, so I chose 90 to do my analysis. And through that, with the frequency of 30, the tension of 90, and then the length, as you'll see in my PowerPoint, of 47.8 inches, we determined the linear mass density of the string needed to produce the desired sound. And that came out to 4.4 times 10 to the 5th kilograms per meter. So very, very fine string to produce the sound. And that brings us to our decision matrix. So we all, as a group, each came up with a set of 3 instruments that we thought in the different ranges based on the parameters of the assignment would make a nice band for us. And also, we agreed on some prioritization of the criteria that we'd evaluate these on. Multiple tones was the most significant criteria at 22%, tone quality at 18%, creative innovation, craftsmanship, and aesthetics were 14 each, cost was 12, and quality of track was 6%. So through that, we evaluated each of the 4 groups of instruments. The first instrument group had a flute, a xylophone, and a bass. The second had a mini harp, harmonica, and a small horn. The third had a high range violin, a clarinet, and a bali drum. And the final one had a marimba, a Irish flute, and a zither. So we had a very range of traditional instruments to non-traditional instruments and different tone ranges. We evaluated all of those through our drawings and calculations and came up with the instruments that we presented to you today. And that was in group number 1. So to wrap all this up, we selected the 4 instruments, and through our decision matrix, we felt that this would be their best representation, give us the best quality, best sounding band. And we each then took one of the instruments and analyzed them, as you've seen throughout the videos, what our different drawings and what we came up with. And through that, the following frequencies and type of materials were determined. So for our high wind, we chose a flute, the mid to high, a percussion, a xylophone, a mid string, a violin, and the low string, washtub basin. So we got our mix of project requirements and different ranges. So we're looking forward to moving forward with our project, and welcome all your feedback. Thanks for watching our videos.